All right, everybody, we're here with head football coach Sonny Cumbie. Coach, your team's about to make a second cross-country road trip this week, going up to Washington State to take on the Cougars. Bulldogs after dark at 9 p.m. Central. Just talk about this matchup coming up, what you've seen on film, and then we'll take some questions.
Well, I think our guys coming off of the Delaware game, I think it was an emotional roller coaster of a lot of highs and the lowest of lows from the standpoint of the outcome. I think it was a tough outcome to a great played game from the standpoint of our guys staying in there, sticking together, continuing to fight and make plays and find a way to get ourselves back in the lead. And then, didn't turn out the way we wanted to. They made one more field goal. They made one more onside kick. And the thing is, from that, moving into this matchup, the thing for us is to really channel all that energy and that emotion, into moving forward and into sticking together. And, I think that the challenge for us, and I talked to our players, last night is continue to understand you have 3 opportunities left. You have an opportunity to win 9 football games. That's still ahead of us. And that's still a tangible goal that we can reach. And for us, it's just to continue to live into the cornerstones of our program in terms of letting our actions continue to allow us to have an opportunity to win football games in terms of our preparation, to stay connected to each other. The chemistry and the camaraderie of this team is as strong as it's ever been that I've been a part of, and this is where you need it because you need guys to uplift and to pick each other up. And then I think just the consistency piece of being extremely reliable, regardless of the results from the standpoint of your work ethic and your body language and how you show up every day. And I think continue to give to each other and to give, to this team. And so I'm looking forward to our response because that's what ultimately we can control. We can control the response and in terms of how we prep and how we work because the Cougars certainly are not going to feel sorry for us. And it's going to be a huge challenge in terms of the football team that Washington State is. I think they're 27th in the country in total defense. I think to put that in perspective, LSU is 39th. And so it's a really good team defensively. They play extremely hard. Jimmy Rogers has done a great job as far as getting a lot of South Dakota State transfers in there. And these guys are really good players on defense, and they're very well coached. And from a schematic standpoint, they have a clear understanding of what they're trying to do. And I think on offense, Ekos, their quarterback, is getting settled in. I think they have, with Kirby Voorhees, an explosive dynamite running back, number 9 for them. Tony Freeman at receiver, number 0 from San Mateo, is a kid that we tried to recruit a few years ago and is extremely, extremely dangerous and as a punt returner and especially on offense as well. And so it's going to be a huge challenge for us. They play really well on special teams in terms of scheme, in terms of effort. And so, for us, that the most important thing is our prep and our work today and Tuesday's practice to erase the taste from our mouth is to have a great work day. And you got to work really hard. You've got to do everything you can from a mental and physical standpoint late in the season to give yourself an opportunity to play, in a great environment from what I hear, a long ways away from home, but people do it all the time. So, it's no different for us from the standpoint of the travel to show up. The purpose is to play, a fast football game, to play a winning style of football. And so it'll be a big challenge, be able to play some Pac-12 after dark. So we're looking forward to the challenge because it's going to be a big one, but we're also looking forward to getting back and working and practicing and having an opportunity to win another football game.
What is the official word on Blake, and how will his injury impact this offense for the last 3 games?
Yeah, Blake will be out for the season with an ACL. So there's really like 2 parts of that. Is you're heartbroken for the kid. You're heartbroken for him individually in terms of the process and the progress that he's made as a player, the leadership that he's provided. I think that he has really emerged as a really one of the top quarterbacks in our league, and for him 2 years in a row to have a season-ending injury, I think it's a really tough pill to swallow. I can't imagine. I can't speak for him, but it's a tough pill to swallow for us, just because you see someone who puts a lot into their craft, much like the guys earlier this year that have had injuries, and so that part of it, it stinks for him. It stinks for our football team, but as we've gone through this whole season with Evan and Trey, we feel good about them, and how do we maximize their abilities, within this offense to give our team a chance to win a football game, because that's what they have to do. And we understand that there's going to be injuries, and unfortunately there might be an injury left ahead of us in these next 3 games. And whoever has an opportunity to play, we want them to play well and to be prepared to play well. And I think that's the thing as you go through the season that you try to remind guys is your development individually, is you never know when your impact is needed. And you have to continue to stay sharp and continue to stay in tune tune with your details to make yourself, in this case, the best quarterback that Evan and Trey can be as we use both of them moving forward for the rest of the season.
It feels like since you guys have been here, the quarterback injury bug has just constantly come up. When you think back to 22 with Parker, Matthew Downey, and then Landry, 23 with Hank, then Jack, and then obviously the last 2 years, like the quarterback injury, I guess just how much does that hurt this offense's ability to be consistent when it seems like consistently the guys are going down?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, it's a challenge. That's a central piece to your offense, and but it's something that, again, when you try to piece together your roster of having guys that can play winning football at the position, and I think the chemistry and camaraderie that you have from quarterbacks to receivers is now, you have to kind of work to make sure that it's where it needs to be. Although Evan and Trey both have put in a lot of work with all of these receivers, the offensive line, the chemistry and camaraderie there in terms of, hearing a different voice, in the huddle. And all of those things is from a rhythm standpoint, it does take some time and it does present challenges. But again, that's kind of how football is. You're going to have a lot of challenges, and I guess the challenge for us is to have the solution for it and what's the best way to utilize Evan and Trey moving forward, and trying to keep those guys healthy as best as we can.
This team is used to harboring losses, unfortunately. Do you feel like the more those stack up, it's harder for them to rebound from it? Or do you feel like they're so used to, being able to come back from that it's a little bit easier?
Well, I think that each team is unique, and this team is different than previous teams. There's a lot of new faces, and there's the core of this team is really close, and I think this core of this team is they're really good football players. The core of this football team is very, very resilient. They are mature from the standpoint of the heartbreak of the loss. Like, how do you process it? Right? Do you enter self-preservation mode? Do you enter woe is me mode? Or do you enter, hey, I'm going to fight and work mode? And I think they really understand, hey, we're going to fight and work mode, and we're going to stick together because we have a good football team. We haven't made the plays in a couple of games that have impacted it, and things outside of our control, I firmly believe, have gone against us as well. From the standpoint of, it's hard to explain a 4th and 10 pass interference call on the last drive of the game that is not called against you in the end zone, and 2 of those. And so there's a lot of things like that that our guys are outside of our control, and so pressing into what we can do and what we can control. And so the kids are very resilient. Kids are really tough. These guys are no different. They love football. They love to compete. And they know that we have a huge challenge ahead of us, irregardless of the result of the last game in this Washington State team. It's a really tough football team.
What's the message this week?
It's to be better. I mean, specialists need to be special, and you have to eliminate penalties. I think if you take a deep dive into statistically, all 4 of our special teams are probably around the top 35 of the country minus kickoff cover. Kickoff cover is right around 70, and that's really because we had 2 kickoffs that were returned, one against LSU that we didn't execute the kick, and then really everything else from a kickoff cover, we're kicking it out. So, from a special team standpoint overall, like the units in terms of how they played, they've played in some of the units are even top 20 of the country. Now, the glaring things that needed to be corrected are the specialists and the operation of that, and what I put into that also are our returners, our off returners, our snappers, our holders, and then obviously our kickers as well. But those are the 2 areas that they have to get better. And the thing is there's not a group that's out there working to make it better more than those guys in that specialist room. They're a group that works extremely hard, and so I think at the end of the day, they have to really fall back and just understand that there's a lot of confidence internally that we have in these guys, and they've prepared themselves extremely well. And then sometimes you just got to go out and pull the trigger and not overanalyze it. And there's no doubt that they have to be better, and there's an awareness on their part that they will be better.
Washington State, just shy of 2 ranked wins over Ole Miss and Virginia this season.
Yeah.
You struggled a little bit to finish in the 4th quarter. How important will it be for you guys to finish in the 4th quarter of this game?
Now, it'll be important for us to start really fast and for us to finish strong and to play the best 4 quarters that we've played up to this point. And again, building off each performance to make sure that we have to up the ante, every week in terms of how we play, how we execute, and certainly how we finish. And you're right. I mean, they on the road at Virginia, on the road at Ole Miss, had both of those teams on the ropes. Really had opportunities to win those football games. When you look at the games that they've came up short in, University of Washington, it's it's the Apple Cup. It's a huge rivalry. Washington's a really good football team, and then the North Texas game, turnovers were, they shot themselves in the foot early in the first half with turnovers. I know Eckhouse, I don't believe he played that game, and at halftime it was a pretty lopsided score, but I think they turned the ball over 5 times in the first half. So, I think they lost to some really good football teams, and they're a tough group, and I know that, coming off their last performance, Coach Rogers is a, you can tell that the team plays, I think, to his identity in terms of a defensive coach, a defensive-minded coach that plays very, very tough and very physical, and that's what we anticipate to see Saturday.
Your safeties had 3 pick sixes this year. What have you seen from that we had a monster like Ja'Carri?
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and I think that the thing that's been great about it is, if you would have asked me last year about Ja'Carri, I mean, he can tell you. I mean, he's putting a lot of work in terms of his hands and his ball skills. It's interesting because when Coach Olson first got here, it'd be interesting to ask Ja'Carri's thought on it, and we start going through our OTAs and the time that we can work with them before we start spring practice, and I'm watching the defensive guys and going around from drill to drill, and like every position minus the D line, they're doing like ball drills. They're having them do defensive movements, yes, but they're throwing, and I'm like, and I'm just biting my lip, and I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, gosh dang, this is like, they're practicing like ball drills like they're offensive players, and they keep talking about takeaways and take it, and so the emphasis and what they did, even starting back from ground zero, has come to fruition. So I think that's the component of it. I think when I think about Ja'Carri, when I think about Mike, when I think about Jacob, I think about football players. And football players have instincts. They can anticipate. They're smart. They've seen a lot of different formations and route concepts. They're very well coached. They receive coaching very well. And then with the work they put in from a ball skill standpoint, and some of the zones that that we're able to put them in, I think that's where they've been opportunistic with it. And I think that they probably could have had, we probably could have had 2 more on Saturday when you look at just the details of some of the zones and some of the angles that we're taking. But those guys are football players, and they've been making plays all season. And you'll have a chance to visit with Ja'Carri and Landon. But those are 2 of the finest people that you'll meet.
Any more questions, Coach? Kyle?
Yeah.
Ben, got anything?
Yeah.
Coach,
Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, everybody, next up we have center Landon Nelson. If everyone's ready, we can go ahead and open up for questions.
You guys are averaging over 200 yards rushing. What do you think has allowed that unit to respond to the running direction?
Yeah, I think we've came together a lot. I mean, we've grown up a lot, I feel like, this year as a unit. I think just trusting the process, putting together good weeks of practice, and then stacking them. There was a little stretch there. I think the UTEP game we struggled a lot as an O-line, and then we kind of just put a really good week of practice together going into Kennesaw and West Kentucky, and we kind of just stacked them on top of each other, and it kind of came out to life a little bit against Sam Houston. And we've been playing well continuously, and I think it really comes down to the week of practice that we have as a group, and we've been stacking them together pretty well here as of late.
You as one of the leaders on this team, what's your message to this offense? That now that Blake is gone, you guys have to switch back and forth between Trey and Evan.
Yeah, I mean, no matter who's back there, the job's the same and the process is the same. I mean, I played with Evan. A lot of guys have played with Evan. We've played with Trey, and it's a familiar face back there one way or the other. And I think stick to our identity. I mean, we need to play really hard. We need to execute, and we need to move the ball consistently. And that's not really going to change no matter who's back there. I think just continue to push forward and fight through everything that's going on, and just finish out these last 3 strong. I think, Evans obviously, he's a very efficient passer, and then Trey's a little more mobile. We can do some different things with both of them. I think, being able to have both those guys come out there, the defense might know a little bit of what we're going to do, but we can keep them on our toes because both those guys can, inversely do the different things as well. So I think it's good. I think we have a different identity with each of them in the game. You know, we can drop back a little more with Evan, we can run a little more with Trey, and also, you know, we can do both ways with them. So I think it's good. You know, just it's not going to be a big deal at all.
Clay's coming off another 2 touchdown performance. I mean, he's had a great couple of weeks. Just how have you seen him improve and your O-line kind of gel with him as well?
Yeah, he's coming along really well. I mean, when we got up here in the spring, I mean, we could tell right away he was going to be special. You know, and just waiting for that to come to life. You know, he's just been putting his head down and going to work. So it's been fun to see. He's a great kid. And we love it when he's back there, along with all those guys. I mean, he's tearing it up. So I'm really happy for him.
At this point, it's been a long season. I know a lot of injuries, 3 games left. Just emotionally, mentally, where is this team's mindset right now?
And I think we're just going to keep fighting. You know, I think what Cumbie says, we're just going to fight through it. I mean, what else is there to do, right? I mean, it is what it is at this point. You know, you play the games and the outcome's the outcome, but the next day you wake up, the sun comes up, and then you do it all over again, and the process has to stay the same. And I think we're putting together good weeks of practice. I think, you know, we're getting better. I think we're in a good spot. I think our team's really good, the best team I've been a part of since I've been here, and I think we just got to keep doing that and then just keep showing up on Saturday and just leaving it all out there, and, you know, the outcome's the outcome.
Kyle, got anything? Ben, you good?
I'm good.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Wayne.
It's gonna be like 43 up there.
All right, everybody. Next up, we have safety Jakari Foster. If everyone's ready, we can go ahead and open up for questions.
All right, Coach mentioned it just as far as that safety being really good as far as reading the field and just being good in your angles. I guess, what do you feel like individually has allowed you to be, you know, making as many plays on the ball as you have this year?
Just really technique stuff from practice. You know, whatever you take from Indy, you take it to you know, practice, and you take it to the game. So I feel like all that together has gotten me to the point to where I could break on the ball good, you know, see what, and then like going over formation, see what I'm getting from left to right, right to left, sideline to sideline. You know, just being able to, you know, go out there and do that and get it from my coaches, you know, it's amazing. So, you know, it's a good thing.
What's the chemistry been like in the DB room this year? 'Cause, I mean, it's not just one of you that's having success. You guys all are having success.
It's pretty tight in there, like from the corners all the way back to the safeties. We just, you know, we're kind of always around each other, and then like in practice, we're like, you know, competing for who gonna, you know, catch the most interceptions in practice. So, you know, going out there in a game, it's like, it's not worried about, you know, competing with each other, but it's like competing against everybody else that we have in our, you know, safety and cornerback category. So the chemistry there it's just real tight. You know, we talk to each other. We be like, you know, if you know, this comes, like, you're gonna get whatever we tell you, because our coach, you know, he stays consistent with, you know, his route views and how he see it. And then you look over there to the sideline, he's already telling us, like, oh, you finna get this, you finna get this. As long as you listen to him, you're gonna get you some. So.
I'm curious, like this week, was there any discussion like with the DBs? I know there was some talk about like, oh, you know, Jacob returns to pick 6, but like some people were saying like maybe he should have gotten down and you guys like are able to lead flop. Like, has there been talks with you guys of like, hey, you know, moving forward, maybe like recognize like the time left in the game?
I mean, it was probably like 2 minutes and 30-something seconds left. I feel like him scoring there is not a problem. You know, it's putting the defense back on. I'm pretty sure we got to stop right after that. I'm not sure. I got to review the game again, but I mean, him scoring it's not a really big deal. I mean, yeah, you could have you know, sat there, slid, and have the offense, you know, go get a first down and just keep moving the ball. But you know, it could have won that game in many ways. So.
Another long road trip for you guys coming up in a late game. I mean, just how do you mentally prepare yourself to take a trip like that and stay fresh?
It's really just like a mindset thing, you know. You just gotta go out there and, you know, do your best. You know, it's a away team; they got home advantage. You know, the weather up there is way different than it is here, so you just got to go out there, be prepared. You know, we're gonna prepare ourselves from from Sunday all the way to Saturday, and just keep working. So.
Coach mentioned the fourth down penalty. You guys, just as a team, lead the league in penalties. Like, is there anything like in that DB room you feel like you guys can do differently to kind of avoid maybe those types of calls?
I mean, we can't really take the judge on that. It's all the refs' call. So whatever we get from the ref, that's what we got to take. He was in good position, I felt like, and it was a late call to me, and couldn't do much about it.
Any more questions, Mr. Carter?
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Mr. Carter.
All right.